What's up guys and welcome back to the channel. If you're wondering why I'm sounding different in this video, it's because I just purchased a new microphone. So let me know in the comments if I sound better, if my audio quality is better compared to my other videos. Hopefully I should be sounding as clear as possible. But anyways, UFC Fight Night, Armin Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker is coming up around the corner, and in this video, I'm going to be breaking down every single fight happening on this card and sharing with you guys my predictions for every single fight as well. So, this fight night card will be taking place in Qatar, and this card is absolutely stacked. I think this is definitely the best fight night card of the year on paper. There are so many high level matchups, so many number one contenders fights. I think there are at least two, maybe three number one contender fights on this card. And for a fight night card, there's a lot of ranked fighters, a lot of meaningful matchups in divisions. So this isn't one of those slop apex cards where they're just throwing together matchups, throwing together fights that they think will be entertaining. I think every single fight in this card is meaningful, and most of these fights are actually going to be super entertaining, and I think there will be loads of finishes on this card as well. So without further ado, let's hop straight into my predictions. First fight on the card, we have Ryan Loder versus Ismail Nardiev. And I'm picking Ismail Nardiev by TKO. I think Ryan Loder is like in that bottom of the barrel in the middleweight division. He's probably going to get cut after this fight when he loses. I just think that Ismail Nurdiev, even though he hasn't really shown that much in the UFC, I think he's definitely skilled enough as a fighter to beat someone like Ryan Loder. But next fight on the card, we have a actual really high level matchup in the bantamweight division between Beksat Almakan versus Alexandre Topuria. And I don't know, I think this is kind of a 50-50 fight, but I'm picking Alexandre Topuria to win this fight. I think it's hard to pick against the Topuria brothers when they have such a perfect system going. Ilya Topuria, he's the training partner of Alexandre Topuria. Like I said, they're brothers. And I think just having that perfect training partner by your side is definitely something that is going to bring Alexandre Topuria to the next level. He is fighting in a lower division than his brother, but I still think that perfection, that boxing, that crisp striking style is gonna like rub off on Alexandre Topuria since they train together so often. Beksek Almakan, he is a very good prospect as well. That's why I'm picking Alexandre Topuria by decision. I don't think he's going to knock him out. I think Beksat, he's strong enough defensively to avoid getting put away. I just think that Alexandre Topuria, he is perfect in his striking. And the only thing that's kind of holding him back is his activity. Of course, both of the Taporia brothers, they don't like to be in different training camps for different fighters at the same time. So activity is definitely going to hold him back. I think that it shouldn't be a problem this early in his career. I think it might catch up to him when he's fighting top tier bantamweights. But as of right now, I'm picking Alexandre Taporia to get this done by a decision. Next fight in the flyweight division, we have Kyoji Horiguchi from One Championship fighting Tagir Ulanbekov, and I'm picking Kyoji Horiguchi by decision. I think he's a very skilled flyweight. I think he's one of the best flyweights outside the UFC currently, and he is kind of on the older side for the flyweight division, but I think he's definitely ranked material in this division. I'm going with Kyoji Horiguchi to win this fight by a decision. Next fight on the card, we have Abdul Rahman Yakyev versus Rafael Kikera, and I'm picking Abdul Rahman by a TKO. Rafael Kikera, he's kind of like Ryan Loder. They're both like bottom of the barrel in their divisions, so I think Abdul Rahman, he's going to get this done by a finish. Next fight on the card, we have Narulo Aliyev versus Shakmay Rock, and I'm picking Narulo Aliyev by a decision. Next fight in the welterweight division, we have Saeed Azagakamaev versus Nicholas Dalby. And I don't know if I'm biased in this prediction. You guys know I like Nicholas Dalby. I think he's a really cool fighter. He's a really tough fighter. And I know a lot of people are going to be picking Saeed to win this fight, but there's something about him that I just don't trust in this matchup. Nicholas Dalby, he's almost ranked caliber in the welterweight division. He's not ranked, of course. He's like in that number 17 to like number 25 section in the welterweight division. And I think Nicholas Dalby is a pretty tough fight to get in your UFC debut. You're fighting almost a ranked fighter in your division. And when you take into account that he has not fought any UFC competition, and when you also consider that he has not fought in 3 years, I think Nicholas Dalby can get this done. Everyone picked Gabriel Bonfim to defeat Nicholas Dalby. I thought Nicholas Dalby would win that fight, and he broke him. I think Nicholas Dalby is going to be a really tough challenge for upcoming welterweights. I don't think he's going to be ranked. The only thing that's going to be concerning in this matchup is his age. He is getting up there. He's 41, but that 3 year layoff, I think, is even a worse sign than just being 40 in the UFC. We saw Nicholas Dalby in his last fight. He didn't necessarily slow down. He lost because he broke his nose. So he kind of had to like put on the pressure. And that's what ended up finishing him when he fought Randy Brown, when he got completely face planted in that fight. That was a brutal watch. But I think Nicholas Dalby, he has this fight. I think he'll definitely win by a decision. Next fight on the card, we have Luke Riley versus Bogdan Grad. And I'm picking Luke Riley by decision. I think he's a great undefeated prospect. And I think he'll win his debut entering the UFC. Next fight on the card, we have Marek Bahulo versus Denzel Freeman. And I'm picking Marek Bahulo by TKO. Now moving on to the main card. And this main card has a lot of great matchups, starting with Alex Perez versus Asu Almabayev. And I'm picking Asu Almabayev by a decision. Alex Perez, he's coming off of that long layoff. Obviously, we saw that he injured his knee fighting Tatsua Taira when Tatsua Taira was controlling him off his back when Alex Perez was standing up and he fell backwards and he injured his knee. That was a brutal stoppage. And I don't think that injured knee is going to help him when he's dealing with the wrestling pressure of Asu Almabayev. I think Asu Almabayev is just going to stink it up, control him for most of the fight, and just not let him get any offense on the feet. So I think this will be a easy 30-27 for Asu Almabayev. Sometimes Asu Almabayev, he kind of likes to stay on the feet too long before he shoots, and he might get hurt in this matchup. So maybe it might be a 29-28. Maybe Alex Perez might be able to get one round off of damage. But other than that, I think Asu Almabayev, he's just going to wrestle and grapple his way to a decision victory. Next fight on the card, we have Volkan Ozdemir versus Alonzo Menningfield. And I'm picking Volkan Ozdemir by TKO. This is a pretty straightforward matchup. I think Volkan Ozdemir is actually like a lock pick on the card. If you're into making parlays, if you bet on fights, I would definitely put Volkan Ozdemir in a parlay. Actually, I don't really know what the odds are, so if there are some good odds, I'm definitely expecting Volkan Ozdemir to be a favorite in this matchup. But if there are some good odds on Volkan Ozdemir, I would put him in a parlay. But yeah, Alonzo Menningfield, he's not the smartest striker. He's not the smartest fighter either. He's coming off of that good win. It was a very scrappy fight. I forgot who he was against. I think it was on the Atlanta card. It was the French guy, Umar Sy. Umar Sy, yeah. He came off of that boring decision against Umar Sy. And that fight didn't really show me that he has that killer potential when you're fighting Volkan Ozdemir. Volkan Ozdemir, he's one of those fighters where you need to knock him out. You need to have that KO threat to at least make him like wary of you. And if you don't have that KO threat, he's just going to walk through you and knock you out. So yeah, I'm picking Volkan Ozdemir by TKO. I would say like in round 2. Next fight on the card. This fight is extremely interesting. I think this is the first time that we're seeing this type of matchup, and it's between Jack Hermanson versus Mike Tibek Orbai. Mike Tibek Orbai, he's moving up to welterweight. He's a lightweight fighter. Whoa, he tries to be a lightweight fighter. He's been missing weight a lot recently in his career, but he's fighting Jack Hermanson, who is a middleweight who is moving down to welterweight. So Jack Hermanson is going down 15 pounds to welterweight from middleweight, and Mike Tibek is moving up 15 pounds from lightweight to welterweight. So this is a very interesting matchup, and this is a good experiment to really see if lighter man skill is actually a real thing. Because if you think about it, this is like lighter man skill squared. Like we're talking about a 2 division jump in skill level. So I'm picking Mike Tibek by decision. I think Jack Hermanson, if he put actual context to the situation, let's not joke around about lighter man skill or that type of stuff. But if we put actual context into the scenario, Jack Hermanson, he's coming off of that brutal knockout loss against Gregory Rodriguez. He got knocked out cold, and then he got hit by a nasty follow-up shot that shouldn't have landed. I think the ref should have definitely stopped Gregory Rodriguez from landing that shot. But yeah, Jack Hermanson, that was a nasty stoppage. He took a lot of damage. I don't think that it's smart to get knocked out that bad and then cut down to welterweight. He's not a small middleweight. He's not huge, but he's like a average size middleweight. So cutting that extra 15 pounds, I think that's going to mess with his chin. And Mike Tibek is actually really good at getting his grappling going in his fights. At welterweight, I think he's going to be like a really physical fighter. He's already fought at welterweight. He beat Uros Medic. That win is aging extremely well, especially after Uros Medic knocking out Muslim Salikov. And I think Mike Tibek is going to win this fight by a decision. I don't think he's going to finish Jack Hermanson. I just think that he's not going to look the best after getting knocked out that brutally and cutting down 15 extra pounds. But moving on to the feature fight of the card, we have Sergey Spivak versus Shamil Gaziev. I feel like a lot of people are picking Shamil Gaziev. He is a fan favorite, but I'm going with Sergey Spivak by decision. Sergey Spivak, he actually looked very technical in his last fight against Waldo Cortez Acosta. I thought Sergey Spivak won that fight. I don't think it was a robbery. I scored it towards Sergey Spivak, but Sergey, he looked very technical in that fight. And we saw what Jairzinho Rozenstruik did to Shamil Gaziev when Shamil got that step up in competition in like the top half of the heavyweight division. And I think Sergey Spivak is going to show him levels again. And I have Sergey Spivak winning by decision. Sergey, he's a competent grappler, which is extremely valuable in the heavyweight division. He submitted Marcin Tybura, and I think that he's just not going to get like blobbed in this matchup. Shamil Gaziev has that weight on him, and he can kind of like use it to take you down and delay on you and to sap your energy from you while he's grappling. I just think that Sergey Spivak, he looks more in shape. He's not like as fat as he was when he fought Cyril Gahn. I think he's actually getting his cardio right. And he looked like a very technical kickboxer against Waldo Cortez Acosta. I think a very good version of Sergey Spivak showed up that night at UFC 316. And I think his striking is good enough to beat Shamil Gaziev by decision. Now for the co-main event in the welterweight division, we have Bilal Muhammad versus Ian Machado Gary. And this is a very close matchup, but I will be going with Ian Machado Gary by decision. Bilal Muhammad, he is a tricky opponent because he's very tough and his wrestling pace is actually something to worry about. We don't really know the extent of Ian Gary's cardio when he's being pushed in the grappling, but I think Ian Gary, he's well-rounded enough to kind of control the fight and use his volume to keep Bilal honest. Like, I don't think Bilal is going to turn into Marab and just keep shooting takedown after takedown after takedown. I think Ian Machado Gary, he's going to sting Bilal every now and then, make sure Bilal isn't just pushing the pace too hard. And I can see him kind of outstriking Bilal on the back foot. That might be a very unpopular opinion, but I think Ian Gary, he's ready for that elite level for the welterweight division. So I think he'll be able to handle Bilal and win by a decision. I would not be surprised if Bilal Muhammad wins. He did not look bad against JDM. He actually looked pretty good. So it's not like his age is getting to him or anything, but I just think that Ian Machado Gary, he is the more complete fighter, and he'll be able to neutralize the wrestling pace of Bilal Muhammad. But now for the main event, we have Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker. And I think this main event is actually one of the more one-sided fights of the year. I think it's pretty straightforward. I think Arman Tsarukyan, he's proven himself to be the number one contender. He beat Charles Oliveira. He beat Beneil Dariush. He beat all these great fighters. He arguably beat Mateus Gamrot. I just think that Dan Hooker, he can't really hang with Arman Tsarukyan on the ground. And he doesn't really have the power to contend with Arman Tsarukyan on the feet as well. People say that Arman Tsarukyan has pillow hands. I don't know where that narrative comes from, but last thing I remember, he chinned Beneil Dariush. He actually has some pop in his hands. And let's not forget about his wrestling pace. Dan Hooker, he has notoriously struggled against fighters with that wrestling. We saw what happened when he fought Mateus Gamrot. That fight arguably should have went to Mateus Gamrot. That fight was kind of weird because I scored it to Dan Hooker when I watched it live, but when I rewatched it like yesterday, that was definitely Mateus Gamrot. I think Mateus won the first and the second. I believe those were the key rounds. But Arman Tsarukyan, he can win this fight in one or two ways. I can see him TKOing Dan Hooker with ground and pound, or I can just see him just out wrestling him and laying on him to a decision. It's really how good Arman really shows up because he is coming off of a huge layoff. I forgot how long it was. His last fight was at UFC 300, so we're talking close to 2 years or over 2 years. Yeah, we're like at 2.5 years right now. So we don't know how the layoff might affect Arman. He might have some ring rust. He might not show up 100%. But Dan Hooker, I don't really want to be disrespectful, but I don't think that he's worthy of his ranking. He's number 5. I think there are a lot of contenders below Dan Hooker in the lightweight division that can beat him. So I'm picking Arman Tsarukyan to get this done. I can see a round 2 TKO. I can also see a decision, like I said, but I think this is a pretty one-sided matchup. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. As usual, like, comment, and subscribe. If you like the new mic, tell me in the comments below. If not, I'm definitely open to going back to my old microphone and my old setup. But yeah, just let me know your feedback in the comments. Like I said, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.